What just happened today, you mentioned?
Yeah, so October 7th, which is a day where Jewish people, certainly Israelis, forget Jewish or not, are in a sense of commemoration of the most horrific attack against the Jewish people since the Holocaust. There are ceremonies, there are school assemblies, there are videos, there are stories. All of the national TVs and radios are playing somber songs, telling stories of heroism and martyrdom and all of these things. And Hamas uses this opportunity, obviously, to launch rocket attacks, their largest rocket fire since I want to say July now. Hezbollah from the north has been shooting rockets all day long, and the Houthis in Yemen just shot a cruise missile at Israel, which sent everybody in central Israel to their bomb shelters for better than 30 minutes, as that missile, if it were to make an impact on a residential area, would kill 10,000 people. Thank God it was blown up in air by the incredible air defenses that Israel has co-developed with the great United States of America.
All right, I want to just address the elephant in the room. We all knew, and last year when this happened, you came on and said, "Put down your arms. We stop. We stop. Put down your arms. We stop." People on college campuses and all over, I don't want to go over it. I don't want to give them the dignity of publication, but we know they're saying you went too far. You went too far. They keep saying you went too far. And when are you going to stop? Okay, so Ary, how do you address that?
Yeah, no, it's very simple. And here, let's not get into complicated things. The war is over the day that the hostages are returned. The war could have been over on October 8th. The war could have been over on the day that those who organized, committed, and celebrated the massacre could have turned themselves in. But here's the challenge. And people in the West, until we get this, we will be destined to lose these wars. Hamas's goal is to see as many people die as possible, and that includes Palestinians. At every college campus that celebrates October 7th, the murderer, rapist, kidnapper who's hanging out in a tunnel under Gaza named Sinwar is celebrating, knowing that those college students, those college professors, and in some cases, those college presidents have made his point. And it is remarkable how many useful idiots there are out there. This is not a hard moral decision. Do you stand on the side of the innocent civilians? Do you stand on the side of the rapists and the murderers and the kidnappers? And it's remarkable which side so many supposedly smart people have chosen. This is not a hard call.
But Ary, they say that innocent people are being killed. They show the news media; they're always showing the victims of Israel, the children, the women, the widows. So what do you say to that? They're saying, well, go after the terrorists, go after them, but you're not. You have too much collateral damage. How do you address that?
Yeah, so a couple different things. Let's just take one of these neutral arbiters, the United Nations. So they run an organization called the United Nations Work Relief Organization or Agency that's in charge of helping the Palestinians in Gaza. They have 14,000 employees in Gaza prior to the war. Well over 1,000 of them were found out to be active members of Hamas. In every single, listen carefully to this one, in every single UNRWA, UN facility in Gaza, and there are hundreds of them, every single one of them, not 80%, every single one of them turned out to be a terror base. So when they talk about the innocent circumstances that happen in Gaza over the last 20 years, when Gazans have had the opportunity to rule themselves completely and totally, they could have built Singapore, they could have built Dubai. Instead, they chose to build Hamasistan. And with that, unfortunately, comes an enormous amount of collateral damage. There are tens of billions of dollars of investment that went into Gaza. And it could have, again, built hospitals and universities and high-tech centers, but instead built terror tunnels. Every home, every UN center, every hospital was a terror base. Now, that does not mean that the innocent women and children who are victims here are anything other than a tragedy. But let's be very careful where we point the finger. That finger needs to be pointed squarely, directly, and totally at Hamas, who are rejoicing when they die. The classic picture is the Israeli soldier will stand in between the enemy and the women and children, the perceived innocent, which they are, and Hamas will put the women and children in front of them as human shields. If we can't understand this, and if we can't articulate this clearly, then the West has lost. We just haven't realized it yet.
Why aren't college campuses and certain factions not getting it, even within our own Congress? Why?
Well, there are two reasons for that. One is the oldest hatred in the world, anti-Semitism. Why has this been around for the better part of 2,500 years? I don't have an answer to that. I'm a faith-believing person. I think it's ordained from the Bible for some reason that I don't fully understand. But the second part is, look, the Western world has decided in the elite academic institutions and our mainstream media that the world has to be divided in between the oppressed and the oppressor. And they've decided that the Jews and Israel are the oppressor and the Palestinians are the oppressed. And then you have this crazy thing, which is called Queers for Palestine. I'll tell all of the listeners on your show what happens to Queers for Palestine. They get hanged from cranes in Gaza. They're not celebrated. There's no parade. It is a crime punishable by death. And it's not a crime punishable by death that people just sort of nod at. They actively pursue you with their secret police and publicly kill you in order to make a lesson out of you. And there are parades, there are protests on every college campus in our country of Queers for Palestine. It doesn't make any sense, not terribly dissimilar to the people who chanted, let's defund the police, and then are puzzled that crime goes up. This isn't logic. This is just emotions in order to virtue signal, and it's frankly nauseating.
Well, the same with women who violate moral codes, so-called moral codes. They're not friends of women.
Oh, for sure not. Feminists for Palestine is a relatively entertaining organization. I know exactly how they would be treated in Gaza. I know exactly how they would be treated in the West Bank. And by the way, let me just prove the nature here that is anti-Semitic as opposed to anything else. There have been more people killed in Sudan since October 7th, Muslims against Muslims, than Israel and Gaza by, I think, 10x. I haven't seen a single protest. There have been more people killed in the Southeast Asia in inter-country rivalries than have been killed in Israel and Gaza by, I think, 20x, and there are no protests. When people are walking on the streets of London or Denver or New York City, they aren't screaming anymore from the river to the sea. They're chanting that they represent Beirut and that they represent Tehran. This has nothing to do with rights for the Palestinians. This has everything to do with hatred for the state of Israel and, frankly, for the Jewish people.
Ary, I have to run, and I just want a parting message. If you could speak to those on college campuses or those in Congress who seem to be carrying the Hamas flag.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that because they're 1% of the country. I'm going to speak to the other 99% for just one moment. You're better than this. And to the degree that this becomes a Jewish problem, the Jews will figure it out. I'm here in Israel. Man, these are a resilient bunch. They're going to win this war. They're going to fight this war, and they're going to walk out more successful than they were beforehand. And they're going to dedicate it to the memories of those people who were killed. If you look at the 20-year-olds in Israel today who are willing to risk their lives for something bigger than themselves, and you look at the 20-year-olds on the Columbia campus or the Metro campus in Denver, Colorado, who are willing to protest as long as they get oak macchiatos with a little bit of foam, and they're willing to go ahead in that case, tell me which country you're going to bet on the future of. And I'm an American, and I want to bet on the future of America. But my goodness, if this is just a Jewish issue or an Israeli issue, America lost. And I refuse to believe that America will lose this. We are better than this. Those members of Congress don't represent you. They don't represent me. And those college professors, college presidents, and those pseudo students certainly don't represent the Americans that I know and that I love.
And Ary, your friends and neighbors in Denver who know you will love to see how good you look here. If they go to the Troubleshooter Network YouTube, you look great. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. And happy holidays to you.